As you guys know, Jonathan Majors still has a trial going on with his domestic violence case. And we do have a couple of updates that have gone on with this. Now, today was supposed to be the day of his trial. And for any one of you that are like, what do you mean? What's going on with Jonathan Majors in this trial? Go on back. I got plenty of videos going through everything from the very beginning, detailing what we know, what we don't know, and just kind of going through the case as it's gone through, right? So if you want to know more about it, go ahead. But just a quick briefing. Jonathan Majors was reported or is being charged with harassment and a second degree, third degree of assault or something of that nature. And basically, the charge from the DA, the New York DA, is that Jonathan Majors put hands on Grace Jabari. That was his ex-girlfriend at the time. And the charge was that, he broke her middle finger and he caused a laceration or a cut or something on her ear, on her right ear. Now, Jonathan Majors has flipped the script and was like, nah, actually, she's the one that did all of this stuff. And he pressed charges against her. And we'll go through all of that because we got some new evidence here. Yeah, so it's been a lot of he said, she said type of stuff, but we've seen videos so far from Jonathan Majors' attorney. We've seen Miss Jabari out there clubbing. We've seen her, ordering drinks and stuff with the appearance that her finger is just fine. So the defense has basically tried to be like, yo, we don't even need to be here. Like all this talk about him, he's completely innocent. But then, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, the DA finally submitted their bit of evidence. And it wasn't just a little bit, it was a whole big old supposed 2 terabyte hard drive of evidence that they submitted very, very close to the deadline. And because of that, it caused the defense to be like, whoa, wait a minute. You giving us all this stuff because they have to share the evidence. You can't just come out in court and surprise people and be like, aha, here, we got this. You have to give the defense time to evaluate it and look it over so they can build their case against it, right? And that caused the case to be further delayed and pushed back. All right, cool. So now today was supposed to be the day that we were actually going to have the case go through after the defense has gone through everything. But y'all, it seems like this is not going to turn out the way some people thought. So, Jonathan Majors' case has been pushed one more time, and this time the defense is motioning to dismiss the file, or to dismiss the case. Excuse me. Says Jonathan Majors' trial on domestic violence charges once again has been delayed, but a motion by his team has been filed to dismiss the matter. Now, no ruling on the motion was issued Friday by Judge Gaffey, but the criminal court judge has told the DA's office that they have until October 6th to respond to the defense's motion. The defense have to reply by October 13th, which with the judge making a ruling by October 25th. So, in other words, the DA gave this last minute evidence, this big old 2 terabyte hard drive, and submitted it with like a month to go or something, which was very last minute. But the defense, after getting an extension, was like, wait a minute. Something is amiss. This don't smell right. We want this to be tossed out. Dismiss the whole case. Now, I'm going to go into more detail as to why they want to dismiss everything. But we do have some things now that says, yo, by October 6th, the DA has the decision to go ahead and just release it. They could be like, all right, you know what? All right, we done. We're good here. It's not going to happen. All right, cool. And the 13th, the defense can, file another motion or do whatever they need to do after that. But the judge, one way or another, is going to decide something on October 25th. So we have our deadline at that point. This gets juicy. So let's get into this. We're going to get into what happened with his defense, with Jonathan Majors' defense. It says here, after Majors' defense attorneys, they filed a motion on September 12th, so just a couple days ago, to dismiss the entire matter. The filing centers on the DA's office's alleged multifaceted failure to hand over highly significant discovery due to the defense in a timely or practical fashion. Now, the way I read that is, it sounds like the DA is saying there was something in your evidence that you presented. Okay, so his defense lawyers are saying, you, the prosecutor, y'all had something very important in there, and you did not turn this in a timely manner. And because of that, we want this all dismissed. Now, what that juicy evidence is, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but this is something that's kind of leaning towards the defense. The defense believes that they got something here. It says here, from the beginning of this case, the people have had incontrovertible evidence that Jonathan Majors is innocent of these charges, that Grace Jabbari was not injured by him at all, and that Mr. Majors is the real victim of several crimes perpetrated by Ms. Jabbari. This is coming from the filing from Jonathan Majors' case, from his lawyers. And it says here that Majors has been denied his right to a speedy trial. Now, why is that important? Because the longer this trial goes on, the more damage goes to his image, the more jobs he's not going to get, the more he's basically going to be hurt, because they believe that he should be hurried up and exonerated in a quick fashion, because that's what they believe based off of the evidence that they have. So right now, it does sound like that this is based off of a technicality. Well, it's not because we have this rock hard evidence, but it's because y'all just didn't do this in a timely fashion. Now, I don't know, because I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if there are any stipulations on how soon or certain deadlines on turning in evidence, because I'm imagining if something comes up and it's new, the whole point is you got to give people time to just prepare. And people have had time. They've delayed the case because of that. But nevertheless, there is a little bit more as to what they're talking about. We will get into that. But it says here, in fact, according to the filing, in fact, the NYPD has determined that there is probable cause to arrest Grace Jabbari for the crimes she committed against Mr. Majors. But rather than dismissing the false charges against an innocent black man, there goes that race card, the people instead have willfully withheld evidence of his innocence, buried evidence proving that his white accuser is lying. Double hit with the race card, and interfered with the NYPD's attempt to investigate and arrest Miss Jabbari. Whoa. So in other words, the prosecution, Jonathan Majors' lawyer is saying that the prosecutors, the DA, had compelling evidence that probably will free or exonerate Jonathan Majors. And they sat on it. This is, again, one side is talking. Okay, let's keep that in mind. You're only hearing the defense's side. All right, that's the only people that's willing to talk. So let's be clear about that. But that's a hell of a charge. That's a hell of a thing to say, that the offense, the prosecutors, had compelling evidence and they sat on it and didn't want to show that. Because if they have evidence that proves that he is actually innocent, and you cause this delay, that's hurting him, and that's hurting potentially an innocent man. So that's a problem. Now, we do actually have and shout out to this website Insider, because they are going in on making sure they go deep into this case, because all the other big outlets, I have not seen them go that far into it. But we're going to get more information on what the DA was actually sitting on. And I want to remind y'all about this, by the way. Remember, I've told y'all time and like literally in every video, I've told y'all we don't have all the information yet. We don't know what the prosecution has yet. We don't know how they're going to do stuff, how they're going to argue things. All we have been hearing is one side, which is Jonathan Majors' case's side, right? And this is one of the main reasons why I've really tried to avoid jumping to any conclusions, because I don't have all the information. But we are getting new evidence, because now that the prosecution has turned over all of their evidence, this is giving that means that the defense now knows what the prosecution is going to work with, and they can start formulating a defense. I told y'all this before. We only saw some of the videos that were released from the defense. Now there's more video, and this video came from the prosecution. Like I said, this is why you got to wait for stuff before you make up your mind, so you have the whole picture. So I do have the video. We are going to play it. But let's get into it, because there's way more detail with this new evidence that's going on. It says here, the Jonathan Majors assault case, Grace Jabari appears unharmed in exclusive video that Marvel Star says the DA hid. So let's go through the main parts. It says Jonathan Majors have sent his lawyers have sent the judge in this Manhattan domestic violence case new video that they say shows his ex-girlfriend unharmed just 8 minutes after he allegedly hit her. This clip shows the sobbing, pacing woman using her right hand to hold a cell phone, to put on and take off a heavy coat, and to pull her long hair in and out of a bun. This, despite the fractured middle finger prosecutors allege Majors had just caused her by twisting her hand. All right. So here is the video. Let me get it up here. So we have the video here, and I'm only gonna read. I'm gonna read as y'all watch, because the video is a little long, right? And you can't really make out a lot of the audio from it. But basically, this is gonna be video of Grace Jabari. She's out there. She's talking to like these 3 strangers or whatever. And this is right after her altercation with Jonathan Majors. And Jonathan Majors is walking up and down the street or whatever. You won't see him until the very end. But he like literally just bypasses her, like doesn't even pay her no mind. But the point that's being made here is the fact that his the claim that her finger was hurt and that her ear or whatever was like lacerated and all this stuff, basically that harm was made to her. The defense is saying, when you watch this video, this is not hours after the fact, this is right after 8 minutes. So if your finger is fractured, you would say something, you would feel something, something would happen. That's what the defense is trying to show here with this. And they're saying that the DA hid this. They hid this video in all their other evidence. So they could kind of say, oh, we showed it to you, but you have to look through 5 million gigs worth of stuff, whatever. But while y'all watch this, I'm going to read the rest of the article that kind of describes what's going on. It says here, the clip shows the sobbing, pacing woman using her right hand to hold a cell phone. Okay, yeah, we went through that already. It says the video is a key exhibit in the defense lawyer's latest effort to actually, let me make this bigger. Y'all don't need to see me. There we go. There we go. Okay. It says the video is a key exhibit in the defense lawyer's latest effort to get the career threatening misdemeanor case thrown out of court, this time on the argument that prosecutors allegedly hid the evidence that helps to clear the Disney actor. Rather than flagging that video as state evidence law requires, prosecutors sat on the video for almost 4 months and then buried it in over 2 terabytes of discovery. Y'all just saw she used her hand to go over her hair or whatever. She's taking her coat off. Supposedly, her right hand, her right middle finger is fractured. That is the accusation. And this is the video just 8 minutes after the fact. Y'all just saw that, right? Okay. So because of this video, this is why Jonathan Majors' lawyer is trying to get this thrown out. In the video, it says she can be heard in the March 25th video telling these 3 strangers that she is Jonathan Majors' girlfriend. One of the guys is like, oh, no way. One of the men responded that way. And that she told them that she left her phone and purse in their car, in Jonathan Majors' car, after they fought and the actor ran off. It says here that Ms. Jabari was not only completely unharmed, but was describing what had just happened by repeatedly insisting that Mr. Majors had text from another woman on his phone and making no reference to suffering physical violence of any sort. So, according to Jonathan Majors' lawyer, and according to this video, she's telling these people that she is Jonathan Majors' girlfriend, that her phone and bag or whatever is in his car. And at no time is she even mentioning that she's hurt in any way. So I believe that the defense is probably saying, in any reasonable situation, if somebody had a whole fractured finger and a cut on their ear, they would be talking about it, or they would at least be showing it. Okay. So that's what this video, I would play the audio, but the audio is kind of hard to hear. So, that's why I'm just playing it and reading the description about it. But it's very hard to make out. So, I'm pretty sure in the court they got better equipment to make it better. But it says here there is a Jonathan Majors does make a cameo appearance in this video a little bit later on, and he is looking for the driver. Okay, so in this video he's looking for the driver, and he says nothing as he walks past the group of people on the sidewalk. He's just like, yo, man, whatever. He ignores Grace Jabari, even though she's asking him, where's my bag? Where's my bag? It's in the car. Now, before parting ways for the night, Jabari and Majors, they do fight for another 5 minutes, though always in the presence of security cameras and eyewitnesses, including those same 3 strangers that y'all see and the driver. Okay. So, once again, what you're currently seeing is 8 minutes after the alleged fracturing of her finger and the injuring of her ear. And according to this video and the defense, she doesn't talk about any of that. It does not appear as though she is demonstrating any type of actual injury. There's that. Jonathan Majors clearly walked by and was just like, whatever. like paying her no mind. And those three individuals, like, even though this is the end of the video, okay, so that's the end of the video. Um, Jonathan Majors was just like, whatever, he's going to the driver. After that point, those three people, plus you saw a lot of people on the street, Grace and Jonathan still kept fighting, and everybody else was still there. Now we're gonna get into more detail about what happened while they were fighting after you saw the camera stuff. It says at no point, oh sorry. There we go. At no point in those final 5 minutes did Major strike Jabari, according to his lawyer. Instead, video shows Miss Jabari wildly grabbing and clawing at him, ripping off his coat buttons and tearing his coat pocket in the process. That left the actor with scratches on his arm and face, according to the lawyers. And this, by the way, is what Jonathan Majors submitted to police. As you can see here, there is blood on his face. This is what he submitted as evidence to the police, and this is now submitted in the court documents as Grace Jabari being the aggressor, being the violent one, according, to his report. It says here also that Jabari then left with the three strangers for 2 hours of drinking and dancing at Lucy's nightclub in the lower levels of Moxie Hotel on the Bowery and Lower Manhattan. We've seen these videos already. This is the video of basically her at the bar, ordering drinks using her phone. The same hand, by the way, that allegedly was fractured. The finger was fractured. It says additional video newly filed by Jonathan Majors' lawyers singles out one moment showing Jabari being led and twirled ballroom dance style by her supposedly broken finger. So, once again, this is why I talk about wait for that new evidence. So, once the prosecution has brought in the evidence, once all cards have been shown on the table, the defense is saying, according to this other video, you got your girl out there with her broken finger, broken hand, getting twirled about. So somebody grabbed her hand, twirled her around like in a ballroom dance, and apparently she looked unharmed. But that's not all. There is more. The lawyer says prosecutors failed to flag still more evidence favorable to Majors, the lawyer alleges, including statements by the driver who witnessed the couple's midnight fight. The driver told prosecutors that Miss Jabari was the obvious aggressor in the altercation with Majors and went so far as to characterize Miss Jabari as psycho girl in speaking to prosecutors. Prosecutors also waited until only a month ago to interview the Bellevue Hospital ER physician who early the next afternoon treated Jabari's broken finger and cut ear. Wait for this. Wait for this. So I'm going to set this up for y'all. Jabari did have a broken finger, and she did have a cut on her ear. Okay? She does have injuries. But remember, the charge is whether Jonathan Majors caused that or not. So let's go back to the scene. When the NYPD showed up, they found Grace Jabari in Jonathan Majors' apartment. She had these injuries. Maybe they were coaching her and being like, did this guy do this to you or not? Even though Jonathan Majors is the one that called police, he is the one that pressed charges. But They saw an injured woman in this guy's room and they arrested him. Okay, so I want to make it very clear there are actual injuries. Whether Jonathan Majors did it or not, that is what the prosecution needs to prove. But just like according to what his lawyer said, the prosecution waited a long time before they actually interviewed the doctor that treated Grace Jabari. Y'all, you need to listen to what this doctor said because it's a doozy. Majors contends that Jabari had sustained those injuries not while fighting with him, but in a drunken fall after returning alone to his 3-story penthouse apartment. The physician, Dr. William K. Chiang, supports that scenario. He told prosecutors that a fracture like the one Miss Jabari sustained on her finger is commonly found in patients who have had direct trauma, usually found from hitting an object or from falling. The physician said, yeah, when I see stuff like this, it's from somebody who hit their hand or fell down. And that's what Jonathan Majors said. So, in other words, at least going off of what this sounds like the doctor who treated this woman is supporting the claim that Jonathan Majors made about her. It gets better. It gets a little bit more detailed. Prosecutors allege Majors broke Jabari's finger while trying to pry his cell phone out of her hand. Okay, so this is what they're saying. They're saying he broke her finger by trying to rip that cell phone out of her hand. But when asked if the fracture was consistent with pulling and grabbing or twisting a hand or finger, Dr. Chang stated it was medically possible but uncommon. So, the doctor, who's an expert at this stuff, said maybe that could happen, but not likely. Maybe grabbing a phone could fracture a finger, but not likely. What's more likely is somebody would fall or have some sort of trauma. So it does not sound like the doctor's testimony or statement is fully supporting the charge from the DA. And it does sound like it's backing up a little bit more the accusation Jonathan Majors alleged against her. So the defense is alleging that Manhattan prosecutors tried and failed to get the NYPD to drop a cross complaint that Majors filed back in June. And once again, there you go. That's the image, because Majors said, no, she attacked me. Okay. And the NYPD apparently didn't follow through with it at first. And the defense is saying that the DA was trying to interfere with that. Okay. It says here police in two precincts have agreed that there is probable cause for arresting Jabari for allegedly slapping and scratching Majors on the street, then running up his credit card and stealing valuables from his penthouse while he was under arrest. But let me just make that clear. Grace Jabari was not arrested. I saw a lot of people going out there with a lot of fake news because y'all just didn't read. Grace Jabari was not arrested. The police said that they have cause. They have probable cause to arrest her. No, she did not run away from the law. She lives in London. She lives in England. She was here working on Ant-Man 3, so she went back home. She was home. It wasn't until after the fact when they looked at all the statements from Jonathan Majors that they was like, yeah, actually, based off of this, if she were here, we could go arrest her. Okay, so let's get those kind of facts straight so far. I know a lot of people want the big headlines and the flashing. Oh, she's arrested. Oh, it's over. She didn't get arrested. If she come back, she might. She might. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened. It says here, but prosecutors, according to Jonathan Major's lawyer, prosecutors tried to convince a 10th precinct detective not to arrest Jabari when she returns to the US, an effort the detective rebuffed. Now, I can't say that this is so fishy because prosecutors and police work together all the time, right? Police go out there, they go get the evidence, they go, build up the case, and then basically the prosecutors, they go and try the case. So they do have a functional working relationship. So it's not out of the question to understand or to see that when the prosecution, because keep in mind, it's not Grace Jabari that's like filing this case. The DA has filed this case on her behalf. Like they have taken that ball and run with it. And because the DA is doing this, it would not look good for their case if the NYC, if the police were to arrest the person that is their victim, allegedly. So that makes sense. I get that. Goes on here and says the detective is still attempting to organize her surrender with her representative. So the police are still trying to go and get Grace Jabari. Now, what you see here, let me make it a little bigger for you. This is actually Jonathan Majors, again, showing the scratches on his arm from the incident. Okay. It says here it was jealousy that set Jabari off, according to Majors's lawyers. Whipped up by the 6 alcoholic drinks she had consumed that night, she immediately flew into a savage rage in the car after seeing a text on Major's phone that she believed showed him to be unfaithful. In the apartment, she attempted to call him no less than 32 times, sent him imploring text messages, begging for him to call, then switched to angry texts and jealous text messages about his purported infidelity. And then, when these tactics proved fruitless, she dropped the ultimate bomb and threatened suicide just before 8 a.m. Now, the reason why I think that this is compelling is because these are things that can be proven, right? You don't just come up and say, like, oh, well, they sent the text. No, we can go see the text. We can see the call records. We can see and read those type of things. So all I'm saying is for the defense, it sounds like they're backing their stuff up and the timelines are matching, and the witness testimonies, they don't sound like they're backing up the prosecution as being reported. Doesn't sound like that. But apparently there's more. There's even more. At 8 a.m., Jabari reached out to a friend in England, sending photos of her new injuries and confessing that she did not know how she hurt herself. This is from a new filing that was revealed. Jabari also admitted she had been really scrappy with Majors during their earlier fight. This again, the new evidence cited by Majors' lawyers. Ugh. It doesn't really help. It doesn't help your case. If you're admitting to violence, if you're admitting that you don't know where these things came from, your injuries, which, by the way, coincides with what we heard earlier about the police asking her, did he do it? Did this like if she didn't know, and if the injuries, according to the doctor, don't seem commonplace for how they occurred, I don't know. I don't know. At 9 a.m., Mr. Majors awoke to find his face stuck to the pillow, to the hotel pillow with dried blood from the large gash delivered by Ms. Jabari's fingernails in the car. And that is a picture of the blood-stained pillow as well. It says Mr. Majors called 911, and the first terrified words out of his mouth were attempted suicide. Remember, Grace Jabari tried to pull the suicide card, and that is what prompted Majors to call 911 in the first place to help her out, according to the lawyer. Now, in fairness, a spokesperson for the DA's office told Insider, "We will respond in court filings." And that is all she wrote for now. Wow, 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 wow. So we have new video. We have more of the testimony. We ain't never heard from the doctor. That's different. And we never heard the driver call Grace Jabari a psycho girl. I'm just saying it's not painting a good picture for the prosecution. Now, I'm going to stick with my guns here. We still don't know what the prosecution thinks that they're going to. We don't know what they're going to use. But the defense is doing a pretty good job right now in building up his case from what I've seen. I'm going to fully acknowledge that I don't know the full picture. Maybe we haven't seen the full evidence, and we're only hearing one side of the story. But here's something else I've been saying from the jump. Jonathan Majors is not fighting this only case. This is not his only trial. Yes, he is fighting in the courts for his innocence, but he's also fighting in the court of public opinion. And I would say, based off of this information, this is a very good way to build up the case in public opinion to be like, this looks like he's winning in that case. Now, is this enough to win in the actual court? I don't know. Maybe by making all this evidence and this video public, because keep in mind, lawyers use the public, us, and our reaction as a tool, right? They sit here and they say, like, yo, do you really want this to blow up? Yo, do you hear the people out there cheering? Yo, do you see all the reaction online? We are also being manipulated. Okay. So don't I hope y'all don't let that get past y'all. Okay. You are also being manipulated in this case by his lawyers. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing. I'm just saying there's a reason why we're getting this information publicly made known so that we can react to it. Okay. And that reaction is something that can have obvious or hopeful benefits for Jonathan Majors. I'm not saying it's good or wrong or bad. I'm just saying it is what it is. So right now, the defense is doing their job. They are doing their job. Okay. They are putting the evidence in the public sphere. They are putting all the messages. They are controlling the narrative. Y'all don't see me reporting. I'm going to report on whatever I see out there. I have not seen the prosecution say anything. The prosecution, you saw what they just said. We're going to report, we'll respond in our court filing. The prosecution is not looking for TV cameras. They're not looking for reporters. They're not trying to be on social media. I don't know what the prosecution is hiding. I do know, based off of this new motion that the defense has just put in, the defense is like, yo, dismiss this. Here's what you need to pay attention to. On October 6th, you need to see, and we'll keep an eye on this, we need to see, is the DA going to fold? If the DA does not fold on October 6th, that means they got something else up their sleeve. So, all I'm saying is, even though we've seen a lot of compelling evidence, and I'm not going to lie, this is compelling. If the DA is still like, nah, we still going to fight this, that means that they got something else. I don't know what. I don't know what they have that can go against all the stuff that we just so happen to see and read, but that's going to be a very important date. And we will have to see where they go with it. So, guys, that's it for the latest new evidence for Jonathan Majors' case. You guys let me know, what do you think about it? Has this changed your perception at all? Do you still want to wait for more evidence? Are you already convinced? Whatever you think, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. This was just a segment of one of my live chats, and if you're interested in joining in on the next one, be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications for more. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.